Well, hello everyone. How's it going? I see Jill's in the house, and I don't see where Ken is. I don't see where Candace is. C's there. Boo hoo, what you crying for? Well, you're gonna wonder why it's just a avatar right now. Phil, what's going on? Hope you guys have all got your Halloween costumes. I was goaded into getting a Halloween costume. And for those of you who haven't gone to the Halloween store, they're usually warehouses or superstores that are converted this time of year and are converted into Halloween stores. Well, I've never been in one. Honest to God, I've never been in. The extent of what I've been into has been basically Shoppers Drug Mart or Rexall or what is it, a party store where where they do the balloons and stuff like that. Jordan, what's up? And Candace, hey, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good, pretty good. I had to make an emergency move back to the laptop because I got a new computer this week and I could not get.
Oh, you finally got it, eh?
Yeah. And I couldn't get anything to work on it, so I was like, it's like 5-2, and I'm like, oh well, bail. Got to get to the laptop. I know the laptop works.
See, he didn't get the message to go on the avatar, or is that your avatar?
That's his natural.
That's his natural self. Well, see, we haven't revealed yet.
Yeah.
Anyway, as I was explaining to the group, so I went into the what the hell is it called? It's those stores that are converted once a year. They're massive, it used to be a superstore or whatever the case is, and they're Halloween. Mm-hmm. So I don't have Halloween costumes readily on hand. I don't. I just, it's not my gig. So it's like Nancy says, you got to go in, you got to get something. It's like, of course, you know where I go. I go to the cheapest spot, which is those plastic, party favor masks that, are like so pitiful, right? It's just like, okay, well, this is the one that the boss goes on the way into work and gets and doesn't put any thought into it. I got to do better than that. Hey, Red Dan, how you doing? So I start going through, and it's got it labeled adults, kids, and stuff like that. Well, I went to the back of the store for the adults. There's some really risque costumes back there. Oh. Like, I mean, there's parts missing, and I don't mean just because it's Halloween. Of their costumes.
Interesting.
Yeah, well, not for me because it's too drafty out and there's a bit of a wind tonight. So yeah, no. Anyway, so I go and I'm looking at masks. I'm looking at packages that have the full dress attire and the face stuff and the makeup and all that. And we're north of $100, and it's like there's no way I am spending $100 for something that I'm going to put on for maybe an hour and a half, and then never use again. So I did come across something, and I didn't break the bank on it. So I don't know. I'm right now. I am sweating profusely because of this stupid thing. I don't know about you, Ken and Candace. We don't know what you are. Shall we reveal everyone?
Sure.
I'm not Ken. I am Creep.
Okay, so we're going to do Candace first. Candace, give us a hint of what you might be.
Think orange.
Pumpkin?
Banana.
I am a pumpkin.
No. You're a pumpkin. You are a pumpkin. Look at that. That's good. See, you put makeup on and everything. See, my glasses are fogging up, so I can't really see what the hell's going on. I have no idea what's going on. My glasses are all fogged up. And so what was I supposed to be?
Late for dinner.
What?
Late for dinner.
There you go. You're a scarecrow.
I am. Do you know how hot it is in here right now?
I told you you'd make a great scarecrow.
Oh. $40 for the mask, another $20 or $15 for the hat. The sweat is priceless.
Nice.
So there we are. Anyway, Ken, how you feeling?
I am not Ken, I am Creep.
Okay, Creep. How you feeling, Creep?
Very hot.
Are you outside or inside?
I am inside my castle.
Which means
Are
he's
you
in the
inside that little
washroom.
black room where you grow stuff?
I am a concubine.
Oh my God, he's not. That thing would be extremely hot if he's in that place. Holy jeez,
Mm-hmm.
that'd be horrible. Speaking of rates, we had our rate, eh, Jill? Jill. Jesus, I'm reading Jill's comment and talking to Candace. Ken, Creep, stop doing that.
Goodbye, Mr. Timothy.
You scared away Tim. You scared away the scarecrow. It's like you're doing his job for him.
That is because I am the Creep.
Yes, absolutely. So
You may see
as Tim was saying, we had our rate cut today. So our rate hike. But it was like a cut because we were all expecting 75 basis points and we only got 50. So the good thing about that is there's a lot of indications that the rate hikes are working better in Canada than what they're doing in the US, which means that we may not have to be as aggressive going forward, which is nice. It's not like they're going to stop them, but they're not going to be so big going forward, at least up here. The US may be another story.
Well, I don't know. If with the midterms coming up and stuff, it's going to be interesting to see how much they actually do it down in the United States. I see that this is it. The inflation. What is it? I'm not following this, and maybe you are, or Creepy, you're following it. But this don't call it an inquisition, but the what is it, into the Emergencies Act? They've got what's it, in day 10 or day 11 right now?
Oh, with the whole trucker convoy thing.
Yeah, well, they're doing this. Oh my God, I've gone blank. What the hell do they call it? Not an inquisition. It's a
inquiry.
Inquiry. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's actually been going on for 10 days.
Yeah.
And now some cops are even saying, like, cops are now, some of the police officers who take it for what it is, of they don't want to comment on it because they think it's ridiculous. And Ford, and Doug Ford won't go and answer the call to come as a witness and stuff like that. So it makes you really want to wonder what exactly the whole point of that was. It's just, it's crazy. I was at the doctor with my mother-in-law last night, and getting her checkup and blood work checked all out and stuff like that. And she said that it's starting to ramp back up again, and that everyone should be wearing their masks again, and don't wait for the next booster to come out, and it's going to have because they think the strain of the fall is going to be BA.5, and of course I'm keeping my mouth shut because I'm thinking, isn't a booster supposed, or isn't a vaccination supposed to last forever?
No, not necessarily. I mean, that's why you have booster shots. I mean, you take well, let's step back to the flu. I mean, even the flu, you're looking at a yearly one because you get different strains that come in. And it's the same idea with COVID. There's going to be different strains. There's always going to, as long as it's in the population and it's loose, and it's pretty much loose. So we're never going to completely rein it in. It's going to be another flu-like version, but what we're going to need to do is we're going to have to look at the new strains that are coming up, and ones that we perhaps haven't seen yet, and there'll be boosters that come out for them. And you'll probably see, just like the flu, you'll probably see a COVID shot at least once a year, if not twice.
It's going to make it tough for EMS to come if you're down sick and stuff like that. They're not going to know whether you're a drug addict or whether you just had a million boosters.
Maybe.
They look at your arm, because it's going to be like, I mean, I don't know how far, folks on this channel are prepared to go for how many boosters they're going to get, and how long they're going to keep doing this. But at some point, I'm like, good Lord, like, I mean, if we can survive, so people can survive
Mhm.
without taking the flu shot, then,
Yeah.
it's a guess. It's a guess. And people are still going back and they're getting their boosters for the cooties that's going around now or starting to come back, apparently. But it's not even for the strain that's coming back. I
Well,
don't
yeah.
understand this stuff.
The current one is the covalent one or bivalent one. It's basically
Bivalent.
bivalent. It's all about the all of these new variants that are out there. So they do cover the old stuff with it as well because it's all based off of the same thing. But I mean, all
Yeah.
it takes one simple mutation, and you could have an almost completely different virus
Right.
that comes back at us. And they'd need to, in a case like that,
That's
they
my
need to
point.
start vaccinating for it.
That's my point. Like, I mean, it's by the time they come out with a shot, we're well into it.
Hmm.
We're already at a, I mean, I'm hypothetically speaking, but we're already at a point of, mask mandates back and, this and that being implemented back. And,
I think it'll be a hard sell to get the mask mandates back, just for the simple reason that I think people would really push back on that. But it's not a hard sell to say, hey, here's the new booster. If
yeah.
you don't want to get as sick as you can get, you might as well come and get it.
Do you
And I
think
don't
that,
know. It's
do you
certainly
think,
for myself, when I last had COVID, it was bad, and and it lingered, and it was like, yeah, I'm going to get a booster. I don't want it to be that bad next time.
do you think that they'll bring it back for flights and airplanes and stuff like that, and borders? Do you think they're going to go to that extent again, or do you think that the public's just going to go, "Are you nuts?" And even the air companies and stuff are going to go, "You know what? You can't
I mean,
do that to us again."
yeah, I think with the air companies, you would have to it would have to be a mandate. They're not going to voluntarily ever do it again.
Yeah.
I mean, COVID, the whole pandemic, it completely decimated, companies like Air Canada, for example. And it's going to take them, like Air Canada, it's going to take them at least 3 more years to even get back to becoming a profitable company again. So they are not going to want to step backwards.
Dan said, "Did you hear about the variant? I can't read that they created in Boston. 80% kill rate in mice. I didn't realize the Leafs were playing in there tonight."
It's always nice when they're creating variants too. That always helps. That helps.
Yeah.
What's the matter with this world? Like, what the hell's the matter with just?
Well, it's
I think
usually not that they probably weren't intentionally trying to create a deadly variant. They're probably playing with it to learn more about it, to help fight it, and in the process, accidentally created a new variant.
Yeah, but that's what they did in the beginning.
Yeah.
The very beginning, they were playing with it. They could get a control of it in the future if there was a future outbreak, and then
allegedly. I mean, everybody sort of argues about the origins of COVID, and more than likely, I don't think it was somebody practicing with biological warfare trying to create a virus.
No,
I think it's just the fact that over in China, they don't keep all of those animals away from people, and they mix too much, and they're just preying. It's like the perfect mix for a disaster of that nature, and that's what we got, and we're going to get more.
Well, they were saying the bats that actually carry it were at least 50 miles away from the market, so it's not the market. It was specifically made in Wuhan in the lab because they were trying to create a shot that could stop any kind of issue that happens in the future. But it got out, which is very easy. A virus can easily get out of a place,
Oh, that is true. That is true.
Right.
Eventually, hopefully, we know exactly what did happen, because there's people who argue against that theory as well. And I don't think China's ever going to be very open about exactly how it happened and what the exact circumstances were.
No. I pray to God that the person who's goofing around in the laboratories is not moonlighting and sitting behind the control panel at NORAD's going, "What does this button do? What does this button do?" You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we got a problem, Houston. it's not the bat phone you're playing with there, Robin. You know, it's like, good Lord, oh, I got an itch. Can't get to the itch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
well, I mean, this week there was that whole dirty bomb scenario thing that was going on over there in Ukraine.
what?
Where Russia came out and they claimed that Ukraine was planning to release a dirty bomb on themselves to blame on Russia to get the West to basically back them up. No idea if there's any. I mean, it's all rhetoric. So until there's proof, but that was the claim that came out this week that Russia was, they went to the UN with it. So,
but you know what, Candace? In all honesty, I don't know that what you're saying is far off the mark with what people and countries have done in the past and dropped stuff on their own people just to get stuff going. And when you think about the mentality and the sheer silliness of that, and just that's crazy.
Wag the dog. That's what they call that.
Yeah.
Well, the U.S. does have 5,000 troops sitting on the border of Romania playing war games right now. So,
yeah, there's a lot going on over there.
I don't know. It's anyway. There's news that's going on over here, and part of that news is another inquest that the government has started into the grocery chains, and why the five big grocery chains. I think it's Walmart, Costco, Metro, Empire, and Loblaws. Why there are they? I guess the question of the day for this inquiry is, are they taking advantage, and are they artificially keeping prices high with just excuses of what has been out there and what has been already fixed in regards to change supply and of course, the Ukraine and lack of wheat and stuff like that, and the war and all that, whatever's going on over there has played a part in it. But I mean, we're starting to get back on stream, right?
Oh, we're starting to with the supply chain. It's actually estimated that by March, we should have zero backlog in our ports. So all the congestion should be gone by March. Right now, they claim roughly about 50% of that congestion is gone. So things are moving. But here's the thing you have to realize. Just because things are moving now, a lot of the products that these stores have bought, they bought months ago. They paid months ago when they were much, much more expensive. So you still have to wait. You have to wait for it to get through the system before you'll see those prices come down. So when you look at the prices now, you're thinking they're really high. These are kind of the prices I would have expected a month ago. Well, yeah, that's when they probably bought those things a month ago. And that's why you're paying a month ago prices on them.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's quite as, they may say record profits. Yeah, they're making some money, and there's some really good investments. And I can definitely speak on that because tomorrow's video is actually on Loblaws.
Okay.
So I can tell you about their money definitely tomorrow. But they're making record profits. They made a lot of money over the pandemic, and they're continuing to make money now just because of prices. But I don't think they're gouging.
Well,
and I know Loblaws came out and said they're freezing the price on their no name and President's Choice for the rest of the year. But here's the funny thing. They do that every year at this time anyway. That's a normal practice in the grocery departments. They do it for the holidays. So it's not like they're doing anything extra. So that there is kind of just this is what we were going to do anyway, but let's spin it as a PR stunt.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. I think Metro even called them out on it. The grocery stores, I mean, they're out to make money. They're going to make money, but they're not really making any more money now than what they normally make. And even before the pandemic, they were making record profits. That's just the nature of that business.
Yeah.
And I don't think us as a society, we don't have the right to say to somebody, well, you can't make profits while people are hurting. Businesses need to make profits. They need that money to grow. They need money to expand. They need that to start paying higher wages to their employees who are all demanding higher wages. So there's a lot of things, a lot of moving parts on this. It's just, I think people understandably are hungry. And, when they feel like they can't put enough food on the table for their family, they need somebody to point their finger at. And the grocery stores, I think right now, are a pretty easy target.
Well, I think there's a lot of easy targets for the federal government right now, because it's just that deflection game, right, of what's really going on, and it's easier to get someone thinking over here when we've got a hotter topic and something that really means of substance over here to the whole country, and they can deflect it with all these inquiries and all this and that. You know what I mean? So it's. I was at Farm Boy. You guys have you have Farm? You have you wouldn't have Farm Boy in Sarnia, would you? Creepy.
No.
But you have it in Ottawa, right?
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, I went in there tonight at 6 o'clock because Nancy's on her way to Grand Rapids right now driving, and it was crazy. They have those hot buffets or the buffets with the food and stuff, and you know what? It was 6 o'clock, and it was all cleared out, no food, all cleaned up, and where you go for the quick sandwiches and all this and that, there was hardly any inventory there, and there was hardly anyone working in the actual store. And I'm like, I've noticed that in a couple of stores that I've gone into lately, that the staffing is starting to go down again.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
It can't, yeah, and it can't be, you can't blame that on kids going back to university and all of that, workforce going back there, because we're halfway through October already, and it's like, well, that's no excuse. So what the hell's going on? But
well, there's still a lot of things going on. I mean, as I've said before, and I know people don't pay too much attention to this, but more baby boomers are retiring every year now than the amount of people entering the workforce. We've got an imbalance, and the pandemic just took that imbalance and really, really turned it into something horrific.
Yeah.
With some of these labor shortages, because it sort of accelerated things. And it's one of these things we've known. I mean, the government's known they have to do something about it, but it's always one of these things where, well, we'll let the next government do something about it. And then the pandemic brought it front and center. And now it's like, you're kind of in that point where it's doing so much damage that it's hard to fix it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know what the answer is. When we were up in Sauble on the weekend, we dropped into one of the only stores that's left open there. It's like this beach store, so it's got shorts and all this and that in there. And because Wes needed some stuff, he's going down to Mexico for a week with his girlfriend and stuff and their family. It was just the owner in there. He didn't look happy at all. And I get up there, and Nancy and I are talking to him and stuff, and he says, we just said to him, staffing pretty hard, and he goes. Whole summer, all I put up with is people. Yeah, I'll work today. Nah, I don't want to work tomorrow. Yeah, I'll work today. Oh, I've come in for a shift. I've worked enough today, and he was of the conviction that next year people will be knocking on his door just because of what we will have gone through in the economy between now and then to come back and get a job. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, let's see how that works out. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, people are going to, as a lot of jobs start disappearing, I mean, those people are going to have to start backfilling some of those service jobs that are empty. Either that, or they're just going to have no money, and you don't really want to be starving during a recession if you can help it.
Please tell me that our government isn't going to come out and start rescuing these people again. Please tell me that they're not going to do that.
They're not. No, they're not. They've said they're not.
Well,
that they're going to, any kind of supports they're doing are little dinky things like, like that double the GST thing, which if you think about it, really isn't much compared to what, these people are paying out. So I think the government kind of has the idea that they kind of boo-booed big time when they just threw money at the wind during the pandemic. They may have had good intentions, but they didn't have good planning.
Wow. It's incredible. It's interesting because even where my son is working, they're a company from the Netherlands, and they are going through a year-end, I guess, recap, and I guess you go through your valuation processes and stuff like that. And he said that they're handing out some substantial money to bring people back up to par, and his industry is one of those industries where it's very transient. So someone will go, oh, over there for another, $3,000 or $4,000, and then they'll be there, and then they'll hear something else, and they'll jump again. That type of industry and stuff. But he got, according to him, he got a very substantial raise, and it just like it knocked him off his chair about what the raise was, and it was good. But I mean, not every company can do that to retain employees, and at some point, that just trickles down and dovetails into, if we're talking about the inflation and the price gouging, quote unquote, with groceries and stuff like that. It goes back to your point that these prices have to be high because Loblaws doesn't grow their own eggs. Their eggs come from a Conestoga or a Grey Ridge or something like that. Well, Grey Ridge has to pay their employees, so it's just, we happen to be just at the bottom of the food of the pass down chain. You know what I mean? We're at the very bottom. We're the last one, so it's like keep passing it down, keep passing it. It's what you call pass the buck, right? And they know that because it's a consumable, people aren't going to have a choice.
Yeah, I mean, and it's out of control. I mean, I heard that the Prime Minister's grocery bill was $12,000. Holy banana bread!
Was that per month or per week?
That's a good question. I do not know.
What the hell would he buy for $12,000?
I don't know. He probably put everything he could on it. But that's just one of those things. I know they were going on about it in the House of Commons. Like how can you be spending $12,000 on groceries when Canadians aren't being able to feed themselves? And
well, I mean, I can see if he's entertaining a state dinner or something like that, but if that's just for him and Sophie, and how many kids has he got? 3?
I think maybe 3, 2 or 3.
That's even unreasonable. $12,000 is even unreasonable for a month.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
Like that's probably a year for someone. For some families that are frugal, that's a year.
Well, I mean, you take anybody who's on any kind of a social assistance type thing. That's almost 5 years worth of their food.
Yeah. And why would they do that? It's almost that it's an insult. Like, I mean, why would you smack people? Why would you smack your people of your country in the face by releasing that and just showing, I've got stuff that you don't, and I hope you, keep warm and have a full tummy at Christmas type of deal, because it's an insult as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Absolute insult.
Yeah. Joey's in there saying the costumes are mad early. Well, it's because this is the last episode before Halloween.
Yeah.
If we're doing the costumes, we had to do them today. Yeah, it's just funny because like tomorrow, hopefully all of the orange comes off in the shower because the driving instructor will be like, "Are you afraid or something?"
Yeah, no, just tell him your iron's a bit low.
Yeah, he actually had me do a U-turn last week.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
You thought he would have turned, but you turned?
No, he made me do an actual U-turn.
Oh, okay.
I've never done a U-turn. I was just like, I've always thought U-turns were illegal. I'm just like, I don't want to do a U-turn.
Well, they are illegal. You have to have 150 meters flat visibility, not within 150 meters of a bridge, a railway crossing, hill, bend in the road, blah, 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 blah. But that doesn't stop people from doing stuff.
No. I've noticed that people just drive any way they want to.
Yeah.
No, and I had to parallel park. I'm just like, what? I thought that was an advanced skill.
Parallel parking?
Yeah.
That's basic.
Why? Didn't you like it?
Well, I mean, it wasn't too bad. I mean, I only had one car. It's not like I had to squeeze in between two. Which is really good because, I probably would have hit the second one.
You should drive parallel park in an F-150. That's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Or a van.
Yeah.
Or that takes a lot of practice, let me tell you.
That's where I got a lot of my driving skills were from a van.
So,
what's that?
Running, and then he threw me in traffic, and I had to drive all over the place.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what's going on with our dollars and our dollar, and whether we are, how the strength of our dollar and the U.S. dollar is going, and what's going on with the market. Seem to not be in too much turmoil these days, which is odd.
Yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, here's the thing. At least in Canada, today when we announced the 50 at first, it did tank our dollar for a bit. We had a nice spike down, but then we recovered well, which is normally what these announcements will do. They'll spike the dollar.
Yeah.
Couple of earnings reports came out today. So Crescent Point Group had an earnings report that came out, which was fantastic. They're even doing a special dividend as a result of all the money they have. Also, CN came out with their earnings report today, and once again, fantastic. So CN was up like 3% today because of their earnings report. But CN's recession proof, and I've always said, it's a good buy, good long-term hold. So
versus CP.
CP is not bad either. Now, CP is the only railroad in North America that has access to Canada straight to Mexico.
Okay.
Because they acquired Kansas City Southern, and they have lines going down into Mexico, so that's pretty big for them. What was I also going to say? Oh, the U.S. though, a lot of trouble this week with tech companies. So this is where we're starting to see some of their earnings reports come in. So Google came in. Google came in with they're really hurting on the advertising side. This is one of the first times actually that even YouTube reported less earnings than normal. So, Google's hurting.
Wasn't that what you were talking? I piped in for a couple of minutes on one of your streams over the past weekend, and I think Ryan was on, and you guys were talking about. Were you talking about advertising in YouTube, and is that related to what Candace is saying?
I don't remember. I have no clue.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
are they going to change the subs, Candace, on us? Like you have to get 1,000.
It'll stay the same.
It's hard to say though. There's been so many different rumors floating around. I've heard that later in the year they might be looking at lowering the number of subs, but
lowering it.
Yeah, lowering it. So you wouldn't need 1,000, like maybe lowering it to. Everybody thinks it'll be 500, but I would say lower it to like about 750, because one of the big things is that YouTube right now has a lot of competition, and the easier they make it for people to get into the partner program, the easier it is for them to start pulling people away from things like TikTok and Instagram and things like that. And that's what they want to do. So for most people, if you think about it, to get monetized, you need to work full time for almost a year. And then you may or may not be monetized depending, on your content. That's a lot of time for somebody to put in, and then only then to just start making some pennies off of each video, and as they try to build things.
Yeah.
So it's a long process, and throw the bone a little bit earlier. They're not going to make a lot of money if you get monetized at. Let's say you get monetized at 500. You're not going to have the viewership that you would have at 1,000. So, you may not be getting, $2-3 every video you drop out. You might be getting maybe $1. So that's kind of how I would look at it. It's just, it doesn't hurt to throw the crumbs.
Yeah.
Because
it's interesting to kind of hear bits and pieces of what's going on. I mean, my son is, what are those fights? The MMA fights with the, is that what they are every once in a while Saturday? I think that the last one was just this past weekend in Dubai. And he was saying that Zuckerberg, I don't know if it was the Dubai fight or whether it was a fight before, but he basically bought out the stadium and didn't allow anyone in. There was no audience allowed, and what he had was like a gazillion cameras in there. And what he was basically doing was he was taping it all for the metaverse, so he could get it going with the VR. Because what he wants to do is connect that with VR, so that people who are into MMA can. I think it's MMA you call it. I don't know, but the fight.
That's the thing. I mean, Meta has they have put all of their balls in that one container. They've got to make it work. They don't have a choice. The thing is, before Facebook rebranded into Meta, their stock price from that point to now is dropped about 60%.
Get out.
That's massive. They've been hurting for a very long time. So if they have any cards up their sleeves in regards to the metaverse, they've got to start playing them.
I didn't realize it's down that much.
Oh yeah, like right now. I mean, I still think they're going to succeed long term. So I mean, a 60% sale on something is a pretty good deal. So, if you hold that conviction, definitely do your due diligence. Don't listen to a friggin' pumpkin on YouTube. I thought you'd like that, Ken. Do your due diligence, but I think they're ripe for investing, to be honest.
Hey, do you have seed phrases?
Oh yes.
But don't bump.
Yeah, there you go. Even with a mask on, I said
they're not very good though. They're pretty much the pits.
Yeah, so Do you know what? I saw someone. For those of you who are gonna carve pumpkins, I saw something and I thought, why didn't I know this? After all of the pumpkins that I carved with my kids growing up, what the lady did was she carved the hat, the lip. Speaking of, oh well, that's gone. No, it's not.
What, did she go in from the bottom?
No, she didn't. She cut it out like normally. Then what she did was she took a mixer and beater and put it in there. And it's like, holy cheese, it did it like in seconds. And all she had to do was just scoop out a little bit here and there. And, it shows inside. It's like, okay, that's cool. Yeah. And then she used, when you make your sugar cookies and stuff like that, or your Christmas cookies, and there's heart-shaped and there's all this, there's those metal, What she did was she said, always use red marker when you're lining something on there because it's easier to come off. And she used these metal things to do eyes, heart eyes and stuff like that, and tapped it and stuff. Yeah. And then she had this, it's almost like that.
And don't even worry about the red marker. Just use an Expo marker for a whiteboard and it wipes off instantly.
Right. It must have been a red Expo. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know what it was, but you ever seen those knives they use for grapefruits? It's double serrated on both sides.
Yeah.
She used that. Then what she did was she took, was it Vaseline or butter? And she put it around the edges that she had just cut out to keep it,
make it last longer.
I didn't know that.
You can also use vinegar as well. Ugh. Vinegar works well. Here's another little hint. If you cut it, instead of cutting the top, if you cut from the bottom is where all the seeds attach. And when you pull that out, it makes it super easy to get rid of the seeds as well. But some people don't like it that way because they find it harder to put in their candle or their fake candle or their light source. But it does work.
Oh, this is killing me. I got a freaking hair caught inside and it's going around my mask.
I'm waiting for you to take yours off before I take mine off now.
I really don't have a choice in this matter. I can't really take mine.
Oh, it's killing me.
Of course, I don't feel hot at all from it. So that's one of the nice things.
How far are we into the show?
Just 5 minutes.
What? It's coming off.
We're at 38.
Coming off. I can't stand this.
Uh-oh.
It's okay. It's okay, Grady. The dog's gonna freak on this stupid. Whew.
There we just have our audience.
There we go. What's that?
I said you lost half the audience because you demasked. It's just,
That was hot.
Well, there you go. At least you still have the farmer's hat.
I do. You know what? That's going to be okay, too.
What's up, Magnum PI?
Yeah, a little mustache. Well, there's
now I can really see. That is good.
Well, very cool.
So, yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I was watching something. I forget what it was. And it was your show, I think, maybe, Candace. It was one of your things where you were saying that silver isn't so much the metals, buying gold and silver isn't. Gold is still okay, but the silver is really taking a kick in the nickels, right?
It has.
And
It's lost its shine.
yeah, but why?
Well, I think there's just so many different things out there. I can't speak to why silver has fallen or not really done a lot since its last peak. But there is a demand for it. It still has a chance of making a comeback because silver is required for some electronics. Not as much. I think copper has a better chance. Copper's a huge one.
Mhm.
Copper, lithium. I think gold will still maintain its store of value. So I think gold is definitely good. And also gold is used in a lot of things like transistors and circuit boards and all of that fun stuff.
Yep. It's interesting. I think it was Ken. Did you send me that article that about hydrogen? Hydrogen cars?
Hydrogen cars. Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna. It's interesting to see that all this nuclear energy and stuff is now going to start to sort of do an about face, and the hydrogen, vehicles are going to start to, show their presence in the markets, and lithium is going to start to show all this stuff that we were talking about years ago. It seems that it's going to start to
Start making its presence.
yeah, and it's at what point, do we have an abundance of all that stuff? Is it going to, like, it seems we're jumping around a lot. It's
Well,
the new
hydrogen is
flavor.
one of the most abundant minerals or molecules in the universe.
What is? I'm sorry, I missed that.
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen. Yeah.
Hydrogen is the most plentiful element in the entire universe. If you look at the sun is mostly hydrogen.
Years ago, biodiesel or biofuels were sort of the hot topic. I don't hear about them anymore being used for vehicles and stuff, right? Like biodiesels used to be one of the, at least, I don't know what, 10 to 15 years ago. And it's like, you never hear of that again. And I thought, I always was on the premise that the biodiesels were sort of the more natural, reusable energies.
Well, now you've got natural gas. And now I think the biodiesels from years ago were just not quite as clean as they touted them to be. Because if they were as good as they claimed, they would have stuck around. And they haven't. So, right now it's all about renewables. Hydrogen, I think hydrogen will be big. It's going to take a while though. But the nice thing is if you wanted to start selling hydrogen vehicles in Canada, for example, we should be able to set up like hydrogen tanks at all of the gas stations that are already out there. So it shouldn't be a hard thing. And plus, I think they were mentioning in Ken's article that you could get about 900 kilometers on a tank.
Yeah. That's what blew me when I read that. I was just like, holy geez. Yeah. That would be a game changer for.
But isn't the danger with the hydrogen vehicles that if they're involved in a collision, that it's like no pun intended, but they're explosive. I mean, they're gonna go like.
Well, there's gonna be safety involved. It's not gonna be a situation where the tanks that are gonna hold this hydrogen are gonna be probably the, almost black box material type, just to prevent that, because they have to take that into consideration. They have to look at probably the worst type of crash, like maybe a head-on collision, and make sure that their tanks can handle that without any kind of an issue, without any rupture, without any explosion, without.
It depends on where they store it.
Yeah, it really does. It depends on exactly on how they store it. Right. As long as they store it safely, there shouldn't be a big issue.
Yeah, I mean that'll be huge for transport trucks and for the transport industry, because
the only concern I have up here in Canada is if they're actually, they've got water dropping out of their exhaust in the winter. That's water you're dropping on a highway that's going to freeze. To me, I can see that as being a slight issue.
Yeah.
Well, it's really no different than snow melting, though, right?
Well,
during the day, the snow melts, and then in the evening it freezes. And by then they already have the salt on it. So maybe on a fresh road that is just getting snowed on.
Yeah,
I don't know.
There may be something that they're doing to to solve that issue. I just don't know what it is.
Yeah, I never thought of that, and it's like that'll be a secondary problem, and
They need to get it to a heat source and let it evaporate.
yeah, like regen it or something like that.
Yeah, that would
Yeah.
work.
Well, yeah, if you were actually able to send it out as steam, then
Right,
at least it's going to disperse.
right.
You know what? They're going to put Bitcoining mine on that, and they're going to use the steam to generate the power for the mining, and they're going to. Why not?
Wi-Fi not included.
Why not? Hell,
Well, yeah, you could
why
definitely.
not? I mean, why? I mean, if you think that there's a place up in Kitchener, up in Breslau, it's Conestoga Meats or Conestoga whatever, and I think it's more of a co-op, but that's where the piggies go. It's like your Maple Lodge or your Maple Leaf, and there is pretty much nothing left of the pig by the time it goes through its processing, because the meat, the bacon, the chops, and all that stuff stays for North Americans and stuff. The rest of the pig, and now for the rest of the pig, that is a delicacy over in China. Chinese are buying it up and shipping it over there, and there's nothing left. Why are all these smart people with the PhDs piled higher and deeper degrees, why are they not figuring this stuff out? That, okay, hydrogen's going to produce the water. Well, what can we do with the water that's on the vehicle to now use it as an energy source, or to, I don't know, do something with? Like, I don't understand all these people that have all of these degrees and can't figure out how to use the materials and the energy and use it all, so that there's nothing left. It just either evaporates or it transforms into another energy source.
Yeah. So basically, head to tail, but with energy.
Correct.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's the thing. Look at it this way. Most people didn't think hydrogen vehicles were going to be the way of the future. And now I think with what Nissan has done, it's really showing that, they're much more feasible than we thought. And now, of course, we've also got near Stephenville, we have one company who's going to be building a massive wind farm so that they can use that power to produce clean, so green hydrogen, which is then going to be shipped off to Germany. So it's going to be interesting.
Shipping stuff out of the country again.
Well, we're going to make a lot of money though from Germany. And Europe. But this isn't going to be done by the time, they're going to have to go through a couple of winters before we'll be, giving them hydrogen.
But the company makes money. But at the end of the day, the folks that are left behind in Canada here, we're spending money because we're not saving money. It's going out of the country.
Yeah, that's been the way that's been the way for a long time.
I don't get it.
Just look at oil. The reason we pay so much is because we have an abundance of it, but we have to ship it out to get it processed into gasoline and sent back, and then we pay. We're at the mercy of however much they're going to charge us.
What? I lost my thought.
Gone. Just gone. Okay, not a problem. Missing thoughts. We'll put it on the back of a milk carton.
Oh, your stock that you I forget what the ticker was in your video with a potash out in Saskatchewan.
Okay.
Is it owned by Chinese or have Chinese interest ownership in it?
I don't think so, but I would have to double check.
Okay. I just wondered.
Yeah. China has its hands in a lot of things. So,
Yeah.
But I don't think that there's any big Chinese control.
Yeah. Where's Natasha, Ken?
Working.
Oh, is she? Okay. because Ken and I came up with this idea that we were going to start taping people snoring and put it on YouTube Shorts.
Oh,
Dude, I sent that to Facebook and it went to Instagram too.
wow.
I had people on Instagram like
Did you go to work?
And I'm like, what the hell? No.
You didn't go to work?
No. I didn't go to bed till 11 o'clock this morning, dude.
Oh my God.
And I got up like 1:30, 2 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's funny. The other day I was browsing through some shorts and I stumbled upon a short of that water challenge thing I did like years and years ago. And I'm like,
oh, the ice bucket?
Yeah. How did my ice bucket thing get made into a short? So, and it was on my main account, like not my just outside of work account. And I was just like, I never made that into a short. YouTube just decided to make it into a short on their own.
Are you kidding? So YouTube did it?
YouTube did it. YouTube just took it because it was the right length. And then they went and they truncated it to the short form size. And it showed up in the shorts feed one day. I was like, what?
So it's really not our intellectual property when we post on YouTube, is it?
No, it's not. No, it's not. Once you upload it to YouTube, YouTube owns it. That's why they can shut your channel down for whatever reason they want to. And if you don't got a backup of all your videos, you lost all that content. That was in a live stream we were talking about.
On a hard drive, like an external drive, just it makes sense to do it that way. But I don't think my channel is that controversial type one that will actually get taken down.
Right. No. But the algorithm right now is going through the network, getting people that buy angel accounts and have bought subscribers and stuff like that. There's a lot of channels getting shut down now. A lot. Like if you see a channel that's got 20,000 subscribers and there's only 20 in the chat, you know that guy bought subs. The algorithm's going through and doing a whole analysis on the channel. And if it's too dicey, they shut that channel down.
Do they really, eh?
Yep, they're going through that right now. There's quite a few channels that have been shut down because of that.
When's our next rate hike expected, Candace?
Which rate hike? We had one today.
No, but after today.
I think we have another one towards the end of November.
Do we really? Okay.
Yeah, I believe so.
And is that in parlay with what the States will do too?
Well, the States is doing one. I think November 2nd.
Oh, okay. And when's the midterms?
It's around the 20th, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere's in mid-November.
So before their American Thanksgiving or after? Because
definitely before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Yeah, because you want to get that out of the way.
You want everybody to be happy before
pretty much once the turkey hits American tummies, it's full bore to Christmas. There's just you might as well just bleed it all into one giant holiday.
Yeah.
So,
I don't. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in January with all this stuff, and it's when did they start ramping up? 20. So wait a minute. The election can't be basically until what, 2025 now for the Fed government here in Canada?
Yeah. Well, unless there's a vote of no confidence, if the NDP decide to abandon the Liberals, but so far it seems like Trudeau is bending to everything that Singh wants. So
yeah,
so I don't think we're going to sing a different song. For now, anyway. So we're probably looking at 2025. But now keep in mind,
ramp up in 2024.
Well, keep in mind though, 2023 is going to be a rough year because we're going to have a recession on our hands.
Yeah, and then he gets the glory of saying, "Look, I brought us out of a recession 2 years later," and it's like, "Oh, really?" Yeah. Like,
vote me back in.
It was like the sun was going to rise tomorrow anyway,
But look at it this way: if it's a really bad recession, he also has to take credit for that too.
Yeah.
The big thing with the recession is whether or not it becomes a worldwide recession. Because if it goes worldwide, then it is a bad thing. It's going to amplify it. All the countries are going to start feeding off of each other recession-wise. We don't want that to happen.
Would that not be another Great Depression then? Isn't that what the Great Depression was? It was
Not
multiple countries?
exactly. Things have to get really bad to get to a Great Depression level.
Okay.
And also keep in mind, here's the thing. If, let's say, we went into another Great Depression, we wouldn't really know about it until we were pretty much out of it anyway.
Yeah.
It would just be a horribly bad recession. And then on the other end, they'll be, oh, by the way, we were in a depression. It's kind of like, think of it this way. Think of World War One. When they were fighting World War One, people weren't running around saying, oh, yeah, we're in this World War One thing here. Because things like that get named after, a lot of times get named after the fact.
Right.
What will a recession do to the conflict over with Russia and Ukraine, if anything? Just make it tougher on the Ukrainians in Germany?
It's going to make it tougher on Europe. Europe will pay for it more than anybody else. I think Russia's been preparing for so long that I don't think a recession will slow them down or what their agenda is at the moment. And their agenda, they're not going to let up. Like Russia, at least as long as Putin is in power, he's not going to accept anything except for victory. So, and Ukraine is pretty much saying we're not going to accept, anything except for, victory on our sides type thing. So we kind of have a stalemate between the two countries. And as long as the West keeps on giving Ukraine the resources to hold out, this is going to go on for a very long time.
Well, here's actually an update on the weekend. I had my friend Amadeus or Max from Germany in the chat, and he was mentioning that the grocery stores are very cold to go shopping in now. They're actually restricting the amount of heat in stores because it's just costing them way too much now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's getting tight over there.
Well, I mean, look at it this way. Imagine, and this could happen in some European cities, if they can't afford electricity, you may only be able to go to grocery stores in the daylight because they won't be using their lights at night.
Yeah.
So
yeah, because they'll have to keep the freezers cold and stuff.
Yeah, but now they are looking to ramp up some nuclear power plants. But
good.
Those take time to build. You can't just sort of snap your fingers and pull in a nuclear power plant on a U-Haul. It doesn't work quite that fast because of all of the safety precautions and everything.
Oh yeah, that takes years for testing to make sure it's not going to throw the switch and it's going to blow up.
But where you will see is you'll see power plants that may have been on the verge of retirement. You'll see them be prolonged as long as they're safe to.
Mm-hmm.
Or even some decommissioned ones might be recommissioned if they're still safe to go, depending on the reason. Because I know some were shut down because people were like, okay, we're just going to move back to gas because people don't like nuclear so much. But now people are like, yeah, give us the nuclear energy back, please.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the cleanest, right?
It is, absolutely. I mean, other than your control rods, which are radioactive, but there are ways to safely deal with them.
Right.
You can store them. You put them deep enough in the earth and they're not an issue.
Yeah, the ground's got natural radiation coming out of it anyways, right? So
yeah.
Well, I don't know.
But and maybe some of those smart PhD people can figure out something to do with that side effect of a nuclear power plant. Maybe figure out fusion, then we could have the power of sun in our hands.
Right.
What have been alternative powers that we've seen in movies that are probably going to come to fruition? Like, is there anything that we haven't that we're not aware of that have been in a movie that we've kind of just glazed over and went, yeah, whatever, that's the future or that's just the way it is, but in actual fact could become a reality? Like, I mean,
the Earth is a dynamo. I mean, the Earth is what? Basically, it's a dynamo. It's a giant magnet. We've got electrical fields around the Earth. If we could learn how to harness that, that's a ton of free energy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one possible source. And that one I think is realistic. Whereas another source they use in movies is like, matter, antimatter type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, antimatter is insanely hard to make. and to contain, because if it touches regular matter, it instantly explodes.
Right.
So
Oh,
it's hard
good.
to contain. And to actually get a meaningful amount that you could create an energy system with it, right now would take you thousands and thousands of years. It's not something that's really easy to get your hands on, because the problem is antimatter is constantly, like, you get these things called virtual particles. So you've got like an antiparticle and a normal particle. They appear out of the nothingness, and then they annihilate each other. So to get antimatter, you kind of have to almost catch that negative one and not touch it, though. So you're going to use, for example, some kind of a magnetic containment or something, because you need to keep it isolated without actually ever touching physical matter. And that's what makes it all so difficult.
When antimatter explodes, though, does that not create a wormhole or something?
No.
What creates a wormhole when it explodes? Is it a star?
Well, a wormhole is basically, if you look at a black hole. So a black hole is basically a singularity caused by the explosion of a massive enough star, because the inner core of that star gets compressed to a point that it crosses something called the Schwarzschild radius, which then causes everything to collapse in upon itself. Once it does that, we've got a black hole. It's a singularity. Now, according to the mathematics, you can have the opposite of a black hole, which would be a white hole. And there are some people who think that a white hole and a black hole could even be connected, creating a wormhole. And, that would probably be, I don't know if it'd be stable. The problem is, to get inside the black hole to access a wormhole, if it did create it, is almost impossible because of the gravitational shear that you would have going in. Because what will happen is the gravity gets so great inside a black hole that the gravity on your feet is so much more than the gravity on your head that you get pulled into basically a piece of spaghetti. It's called spaghettification. So it's really hard.
Like
Even if
Fantastic Four, that guy became Stretch Man or whatever.
well, I don't know if that's how that happened, but
Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
I think
That was
it
a
is.
stretch, Ken. That was a stretch.
Stretch.
yeah, that was
Well,
offensive.
or the other alternative is that we finally have life from another planet show up and they bring their own power pack.
Maybe. I mean,
You
we
watch.
don't-
Do you honestly think, like, I've never asked whether you believe in extraterrestrial or other beings that are in this universe or not.
Mhm.
But do you think in our lifetime we will see interaction with? Will it be made public?
Well, whether we'll have interaction or whether it'll be made public could be two completely different things. I think if we ever do have some kind of an extraterrestrial visitation, I don't think it's going to be actual aliens. I think they'll do what we do. They'll send a probe. So they'll send some kind of robots or something of that nature. Because that's what we do. When we go to Mars, we don't have people on Mars yet. We've got rovers there. And because it's safer. And hopefully they'll obviously have to have some technology that they can move a lot faster than what we can, because just the sheer distances in space.
Mhm.
And what would be ideal is if they have that ability to warp space, because that's the only way you're going to really overcome some of the vast distances, because then you can, by basically warping space, you're not moving faster than light, but you effectively are, because you're kind of manipulating space to get to another point A. So instead of going 1,000 light years between A and B, you're bending space so that it's only like a third of a light year, and then you're just zipping across that little distance. Think of it just like it's like if you buckled space, and then you're just taking a quick little shortcut through it instead of going around the whole thing.
Yeah, it's like if you take a piece of paper and you put you're here and your destination's here, and then you roll the paper up,
and then you're next to each other.
Yeah, and then you put the paper back out and you travel that distance in.
Yeah, because space itself, you see, the universe expands faster than the speed of light. So, but it's not breaking the rules, because it's not actually moving faster than light. It's just expanding. It's expanding everywhere all at once. And so that creates an effect of things moving apart faster than the speed of light, even though they're really not.
Here's what I found.
Sorry, my watch is talking about
What did
about
you
the,
find?
space, the fabric of
Here's what
space
I
time
found.
expanding.
Oh, Jesus.
Comes back and says, "Here's what I found: Buzz Lightyear, $39.99 at Walmart."
For some reason, my watch is like always listening, and every so often she has to throw in stuff. Like I remember once I bumped into the cat and I said, "I'm sorry, Blaze, I didn't mean to do that." And then the watch goes, "It's okay." I'm like, what? You know, it's just one of those things.
I bet you wish that the watch would clean out the kitty litter every once in a while.
I know. It doesn't do that. I end up doing it myself, but that's fine.
Well,
I know. Sometimes when you think about space and what's going on in space and the way everything happens, it's very big. You know, there's a lot of concepts in space, and it's a lot to grasp when, you know, especially if you don't gorge on documentaries the way I do.
I sometimes think that where we are today with our technology, with our ability to research, with our intelligence, with everything that goes along with that there's a lot more problems that are solved that we're let in on and that we know about. And there's a lot more answers that we know
When you look
that there's a lot more answers than we'll ever know about, and that they're being held back. For what reason? I don't know. Maybe it's because it would upset the apple cart and the balance of power within the middle class, lower class, and upper class, which is probably the right answer, right?
That's a possibility. But yeah, one good example is when you look at UAPs. So in the 70s, from the 50s to the 70s, people witnessing UAPs were describing them as black triangles. That was one of the most common shapes. Well, then along comes the Gulf War, and the U.S. is like, oh yeah, we got to use the black shapes now. And then the stealth bombers, we find out about them. And it's like when you look at a stealth bomber and you look at all these diagrams of UAPs from the 50s and 60s and 70s, they're definitely 100% stealth bombers. You can see it. It's easy to see. So that just shows that a lot of the UAPs we saw back then were the technology that we already had. So when you look at the UAPs today, I think most of them are just our own technology that is, you know, ultra top secret, and nobody's going to say anything. Even the government doesn't really know about them. So, you know, that's why they're having their little task force. And now NASA has a task force on UAPs to try to figure out what they are. But I think that's our own. I think they're mostly our own stuff. Just, you know, test plane things.
Did any one of you guys see that movie Moonfall on Prime? I think it is.
No.
Oh, the science was so wrong in that movie.
Was it? I didn't get to watch it yet. So
yeah. Well, here's the thing: if the moon were to start moving closer to the Earth, it would never hit us. There's this thing called the Roche point. When it hits the Roche point, it would completely shred the moon, and it would pretty much leave it almost like the rings of Saturn going around the Earth, just chunks of rocks. So the moon would actually never actually hit the Earth that way.
Well, wouldn't the chunks of rocks be a problem to us?
You might have some that might make it through, maybe. But most of them are going to stay in a nice little orbit, very much like a rings. And they would also be an issue, obviously, for satellites, things like that, because they would be.
So this magnetic field that you talk about that surrounds the Earth, is that our protection?
Yeah. Yeah, because that's
stuff coming at, and it's just like, is stuff going, and is it like our force field that stuff's bouncing off of it? Because
it's not that it bounces off of us. What it does is it surrounds us and things flow around it. So when the solar rays are coming at you, like that, what happens is if my head's the Earth, the shield takes it and pushes it off to the sides.
Deflects it.
Yeah, so which is interesting. When in a solar storm, the shield on the front will be very thin because it's all pushed back because of the way it gets pushed in by the sun. Now, if you get a strong enough solar flare, so let's take Carrington level, and Carrington was an event that happened before we had electronics everywhere. This is all we had back during the Carrington event were telegraphs. And the storm was so strong during that event, it caught a lot of telegraph wires on fire and caused, different telegraph houses to burn down. And it caused a lot of issues. If that level of event hit us today, it would be goodbye technology for a while.
Yeah.
Because first of all of our satellites gone. Then it's going to come down and fry our grid. So you're looking at every transformer pretty much on the planet blowing. So if you think about it that way, it takes about 6 months to get some of these back. So some places it might be 3 years without power.
So it's almost like a big EMP.
Yeah, it almost would be like an EMP in many senses. Now, here's the bad news, I guess, or the good news. We get the technology to protect ourselves from it, to harden our grid, but nobody wants to spend the money to do it because it does cost money to harden the grid. But we could do it if we wanted to. Governments just choose not to, even though scientists say that's one of the most likely scenarios. And we've had near misses. We've had some of these X flares that have just missed us. And it is luck. It's like, is that solar flare pointed straight at Earth when a massive eruption happens, and a CME comes at us that's strong enough, as strong as the Carrington event? Then it's like, holy banana bread. I hope I watch Survivor enough that I can survive for 3 years without power. Because, look at it this way. No bathrooms, no cooking, no refrigeration. All of these things will be gone. You may have a generator and that might or might not work. It depends on if the circuitry in it got fried. The circuitry may have been fried in it and it may not even work. There may also be a lot of fires too.
And the pumps could be all fried too, so you can't get any more diesel or
petrol,
right?
So you'll be out in the backyard making a spear as you go hunting for a rabbit to eat. Well, you'll just go attack your neighbor and take their food. Some people will do that. Some people will sort of become barbarians, and I mean, it's a reality that could happen, and we have the technology to not have it be an issue. So it's one of those things that really, hopefully, eventually, some governments start listening to science. But
so how do you protect yourself from that? How do you protect your electronics and stuff from that? As an individual, could you protect your stuff from what you've got, like what you've got here in your house? Could you protect it?
It depends when it hits, right? If it hits while you're on the nighttime side of the planet, you're going to have pretty much a lot more warning, and then you'll unplug things, make sure that there's no surges coming in. Little things like that. If you really were concerned about something, you could always put it in a Faraday cage. That would protect it. Because any kind of a charge can't get through a Faraday cage. It will just follow around the outside of it. Here's a good example of a Faraday cage: a car.
Because it's not grounded.
Right. Well, when you look at a car, the reason a car is so safe is when lightning hits you and you're in your car, it's a Faraday cage. It basically hits the car and it travels around the outside and it grounds through the tires. So that's why being inside a car is one of the safest places in a lightning storm, because it does act as a Faraday cage and it will protect you.
What about being in a plane?
The planes are the same thing. They're built that way, especially a plane. A plane is in a position where it's easier to get hit by lightning because, one, you're a lot closer, and
But it's not grounded.
It's not grounded, but the lightning will still travel around the outside of the plane. It's not going to, it's not going to come inside and, they do their best to protect. Like you may see in Hollywood where lightning hits a plane and all of a sudden the plane's going down. How often has that actually happened? Almost never, because that's the way they're designed. They're designed, the science used to design them is to protect them from lightning strikes, because they're going to get hit by lightning.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Huh.
See, look at that. This one here, we've just gone off into La La Land for this one.
Oh, there's the puppy.
Oh, yeah.
Where's the other puppy?
Oh, she's sleeping on the couch.
Awesome.
Oh, it's a good dog. Well, that was very interesting.
Well, that's what we're here for, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's and I guess there's groups out there and people out there that are basically prepared for all of this, and that's why they live in the hills of Tennessee, right? Like, I mean, they're just prepared for
They're
all of
preppers.
this, and
It's one of those things, like you look at somebody who is a prepper and they're convinced that everything is absolutely going to hit the fan in every way, shape, and form. But here's the reality: they only need one of their conspiracy type scenarios to happen, and they're good. It's like Crazy Joe down the street is going to be that person you're going to run to when you're at the most dire hours, and hopefully Crazy Joe will let you in. He may not. He may be just like, well, you didn't listen to me when I was giving you time that you could have made a difference. So
maybe I'll join the Scouts again and learn how to do all that stuff, so I have some survival skills.
Yeah. Or at the very least, at least have some manuals, so at least you have something that you can read while while you're figuring out how to save yourself.
Yeah, I guess.
Because it depends. There are some natural disasters that have happened. There's pretty much nothing you can do about it. You're probably going to die.
What?
Well, like an asteroid strike.
Well, that, yeah.
Yeah, you get an asteroid strike, and it's usually more of a matter of who's dying first, who's dying second, who's dying next.
Just need a giant tennis racket. Send it back.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work that way.
What the hell are you talking about?
I've seen it in a cartoon. It works. Damn it.
Okay, Wile E. Coyote, right?
It was an Acme tennis racket, right?
Yeah, it came out and went.
Just boom. Well,
Yep.
we're technically kind of doing that. NASA has run a ship into an asteroid just to, because that's one of our ways of possibly deflecting an asteroid is coming in. Running.
Well, yeah, they did that just recently, didn't they?
Yeah, and they're still analyzing the data, but
Are they?
there's a few other ways. If we have enough time, like if we, let's say we have 30 years, we know that it's going to hit us in 30 years. One of the easy things to do is just to send a ship out and have the ship just fly next to it for 30 years. And what happens is everything exerts a small amount of gravity on everything else. So that ship will pull on that asteroid slowly, slowly. And over longer, greater periods of time, that may be enough just to push it so it doesn't hit us.
Right.
So
Thank
that's
God.
one.
I thought you were going to say for everyone in the world to get out. Everybody push to the right. Push.
No,
Look.
no. No, I don't think that wouldn't work.
No.
There's also thoughts of taking an asteroid and actually putting a solar sail on it. That
Right.
could
What?
a solar sail
What?
is a big giant sail made of like a mylar type thing, and it catches the cosmic rays from the sun, and it exerts a force, because when these cosmic rays hits it, every reaction or every force creates an equal and opposite force. So it's all physics. So, but once again,
Okay.
with something like that, you need the time. You need to be able to spot these things sooner than later, or later. Yeah, because if they're too close, most of those things aren't going to work. That's where doing crazy things like running spaceships into them might be a better option. Or I don't know about hitting them with a nuke, but because the danger of hitting one coming in with a nuke is that maybe you do break it apart, and then we've got few smaller ones coming in that are now radioactive.
Great.
Welcome to Earth.
Yeah, even a worse situation there.
Yeah. So
Well, it is 20 after 9. We have had a whole bunch of fun here tonight, I think. No idea what
the
we've
show
talked
has been
about.
spooky as we've talked about the end of the world. So, woo!
Yeah. Monkey
Welcome to
see,
my
monkey do,
pumpkin
or
patch.
hear no evil, see no evil.
You are all
And,
my seeds now.
there you go.
Yeah.
So
Trying
you
to think of
have
creepy catchphrase.
you got a whatchamacallit, a video coming out tomorrow that's on Loblaws.
Yeah. Tomorrow is Loblaws.
And Friday is
Or Saturday. Still nailing down what Saturday's going to be about. It's because that's This Week Presents. So it should be interesting. We'll have another live stream again on Sunday. So that'll be the day before Halloween. I'm not going to get dressed up for it, but we're going to do pumpkin facts. We will all through the show, we will bring up a pumpkin fact. So things about the history of pumpkins. So and then we'll be back again Monday with another video and back here next week without costume.
Yep. We'll be into November by then.
Yep. November.
Yeah.
Holy banana bread.
I know. That's going quick.
Yeah.
Ken, you're going to be back at it, swinging the bat again on the weekend?
Yeah, there, I'm going to go up there, I'll push the button, and we have a good show.
You two could do like a Movember where the two of you just grow mustaches just to see who looks more funny by the end of November.
Mine's blonde. Mine's hilarious, actually, because I get these two like white or three white hairs all in a row. And when you look close enough, it looks like I got a booger hanging out of my nose all day. It's hilarious.
Oh.
You drive alone, don't you?
It's the only way to travel is alone.
Oh my God. Well, and everyone stay tuned for our snoring channel.
Snoring channel?
It's hypnotic.
Oh, right.
It'll probably pick you off.
We've got to be able to get some of these taped and then try and pair it and do it with a song or something, eh?
That would be funny.
Oh yeah, that would be. There's got to be. We'll have, when we get off here, we'll have to Google and see if there's an actual snoring stream.
Well, I thought she was going to suck the ceiling in last night. I was just like, holy.
Well, I wasn't about to say who was doing it and what, but go ahead.
Well, that's the missus. I was getting so mad, right? So I got my phone sitting there, and I'm like, you know what? Train horns. Okay, go to YouTube there. Oh yeah, train horns. Holding it over her ear. She's snoring louder because of the train horn.
Yeah.
And I put that ear piercing sound that comes from a smoke detector. Yeah, she was dead to rights. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
I'm up, Candace. I was up at 5. I was up early today, 5, whatever. And I'm on and I'm searching stuff. And all of a sudden, bing, bing, bing. It's like, what the hell? It's Ken. Then I get these audio files. And he goes, I'm sleeping. I'm not going to repeat it because I have, I'm not going to throw.
Well, do you have one now? You should play it for the chat.
Oh.
This should be great.
I'll make you famous.
Oh, yeah. You'll make me famous. All right. Are you actually going to find it and play it? Yeah, I guess that's a yes.
That's fantastic.
Tune in for part 2 next time, guys.
Oh, we've got to get that. We got to get a couple different people snoring and then try and pair it somehow. It's like the Three Stooges.
That was great.
Oh
that
my God.
Would be great. I think you're right, Teddy Gator. I think we do probably watch a lot of the same YouTube channels.
Oh, that is great. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for coming dressed up.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it was my idea. If I didn't show up in a costume, I would never live it down.
Yeah. You know, I'm sure Nancy's tuned in from the road. She's she's in a car full of people heading to Grand Rapids, as I said. So she goes, "What's your costume?" I said, "You have to tune in." I can't. I'm driving. I said, "Well, have someone else tune in. They'll be
Or
able
she
to
can
bring
watch
me up."
it on the replay.
Right.
Yeah, get the view. Replay.
Hopefully, she was wearing a costume as she was driving them there, just to be in the spirit.
No, I kind of don't think she was.
Probably not.
Might have been dressed like a businesswoman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, next year she'll have to be here for the Halloween show.
Yeah, she will. She will. It's yeah. We, you know what? In hindsight, we should have just well, we haven't missed a Wednesday yet, so we should have just postponed it to the Monday night and done the Monday night. Oh, what am I thinking? She's in Montreal. Fuck, she's in Montreal next week, and then she's not. She's in Halifax.
Oh, okay.
I'm on my own again next week.
Did you just hear what Tim just said? He said flock. He said flock, guys.
Yeah.
I
I thought I heard the seagulls, a flock of seagulls.
I got your back.
Yep. Holy banana bread.
Well, everybody, all 14 of you, thank you so much for tuning in. Remember to give generously to UNICEF. There's no such thing as UNICEF anymore, is there?
I think there is.
Oh my God. Do you remember that at school? Hey, did
Yeah.
you guys ever have at school that you would get, you would have, I don't know if it was public health or whatever would come in, and you'd get the dental hygiene stuff, and then you'd get a package that had a little tube of toothpaste, and then they had those pills that would turn your teeth if you weren't brushing correctly. Do you remember that?
Yes, purple plaque. You take
Is that
them
what
and
that was?
Yeah, they got a mouthwash that's like that now for kids. You swish it around your mouth, you spit it out, and then you smile, and you can see all the plaque. It's all dark purple.
I know, and then you have to brush for like 6 months.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, well.
Ryan's rubbing off on Tim.
Because you said the F word.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh. Anyway.
Yeah, once in a while, it's okay to slip.
That's not me. You know that.
Yeah, I know. But still, once in a while, you can slip.
Well, you are the only guest I've ever had who said a bad word on my stream. So
me?
Yeah.
I did?
I think you said the S word on my stream.
Sushi.
The smellier one. The smellier S word.
Schlep.
Yeah, sounds like sort of like that.
The body function when it comes out of.
Oh, like the dog on the lap?
Yes, that stuff. Very good. Very nice.
Jesus.
I'm gonna show that on the weekend too. It'll be very nice training. You guys show in to see what happens when dogs.
Well, Candace will see it if she sees it, but I don't understand how a person could sit there and let that dog do that to them while they're in the car.
Yeah, I know. I would have been like, dude, pull over now.
Yeah. At least give them and the dog some privacy, right?
Didn't the wet, warm lap kind of?
Maybe the dog ate her wedding ring. Maybe.
Well, there was no diamond in the rough there. Get it? Rough diamond.
Yeah.
No. Well, say good night, Gracie.
Good night, JC Benny.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Thank you, Candace. Thank you, Ken. Happy Halloween.
Later, guys.
Enjoy the sunshine tomorrow, wherever it may be.
It's usually up.
You sure?
It's right above my head.